Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from the ACT Computer Studios in Cape Coral, Florida, it's the What's in Your Head podcast with your hosts Gordon and Don Abernathy.
What's up, OJ5? Hopefully this Monday you can hear us. What a train wreck that was last week. I guess the only way to know is by the listeners on the Facebook and YouTube live streams. So Gordon, question is, can they hear you this week?
That will be the question. Right now I've got a little bit of whiplash from three different songs in that intro.
Yeah, you like that?
That was great.
Yeah. What's up, Morgan Long? Can you hear us? Say hi to Morgan Long, Gordon.
What is up, Morgan Long?
Morgan Long's always the first one to check in. But yeah. For those of you who didn't listen to the podcast last week, shame on you, just because it's not a live stream. You can always download it at d-410.com, what'sinyourheadpodcast.com, what'sinyourhead.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and anywhere fine podcasts are found. But what's going on your side of the world, Gordon?
I now know, or have at least a good idea, of how I'd smell if I was burning.
Do what?
I now have a good idea on how I would smell if I'm burning.
Yeah. Isn't that something? Nothing entices the senses more than the smell of cauterization. Cauterization?
Yes, I was cauterized. I had a little procedure done that required some cauterization.
You sent me that picture, and Carrie and I were in the car.
It was like a stab wound.
Well, no, Carrie's in the car, and all she sees is a thumbnail of this peach color area with a slit. And then she's like, what the hell is that? And I had to zoom in. She's like, oh, from over here it looked like somebody sent you a vagina picture. Yeah, after a C-section.
Now that you talk about it, and I almost said it to him, he goes, I'm going to cut a football-shaped incision, and I want to say, that looks like a vagina.
Yeah.
But
how many stitches was that?
It ended up, well, there's two layers of stitches. There's stitches inside, and it's dissolvable, and the stitches outside. I counted it crossing over 12 times. It's about 4 inches long. What it is, I had a hematoma. Anybody who doesn't know what that is?
It's the name of a cat, right? Hematoma, and he's like the generic Garfield. No, that was Heathcliff. Oh, my bad.
That was Heathcliff. But it was a collection of blood vessels, and it's been there my whole life. I think Don may remember I had a little red spot right here.
Do. I was going to, when you were just saying that, I had flashbacks on when you were a kid. You had this red area. It almost looked like
a strawberry.
It looked like a strawberry or a broken blood blister underneath you. So, damn, it's. You've had that for 40 some odd years? 30 some odd years?
Yeah, and as I have gotten older, it has gotten bigger. It's been bumped because I am full of scars and have thrown my body through some hell. It's been bumped, and every time it gets bumped or those blood vessels get ruptured, it bleeds like a mofo, and it doesn't exactly stop.
That's crazy.
So, and then it heals, and now it's a bigger bubble.
Welcome back, John Kraft. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
That's all right. So got that taken care of. Now I'm going to have something that was half the size of a dime now left a 4-inch scar. So whatever.
That's a good segue.
But I tell you what's kind of gross is when you can actually hear the nipping.
Oh, yeah.
And my head's turned. But as soon as I smelled that cauterization, that's so when gross. I got the flop sweat.
That's so gross.
I got just because my wife says I'm a wimp for this stuff now because we were entertaining the idea of some kind of weight loss surgery a couple of years ago, and we're sitting there and they're talking about how that's going to go. I break out into flop sweat. I'm thinking I'm about to fucking pass out.
Just the thought of it?
Just the thought of it.
I mean, I've seen you, like, when you cut your hand, when we lived at Steeplechase, if TJ Bowen's listening tonight, he'll get a flashback that. When you cut your hand on the aquarium, you got all woozy, you got the sight of blood, but it's weird just to thought of you thinking about just a...
Holy shit. Apparently TJ's angry right now.
My controller just flew off my desk, hit my flask, and fell on the floor. I don't know why.
The ghost that followed you from Kentucky.
But anyhow, yeah, I remember you seeing your blood and getting all woozy in the head. So it's weird just to think of you just visualizing in your head.
What? After I was a teenager and had, scrapes and shit skateboarding, and all the way until about the last year or two, I was fine with my own blood, but now
no one makes me bleed my own blood.
The switch got flipped, But so, can I do a little fact check?
Yeah, but before we get into that, does that barn behind me remind you of anything?
barn on Richwood on Hicks Pike for some reason.
It reminded me of the barn to the left of Nan's driveway. Believe it or not, that is a cell phone photograph of the painting I have sitting right across from me because while the podcast studio is the catch-all for the family, and now that it's Christmas decoration time, the barn photo came off of the wall and it's sitting directly behind me, so I took a picture of it with my cell phone and then uploaded it. We did have the 4th annual Abernathy Exchanging of the Clock. For those of you who don't know, about 4 years ago, I posted a picture on Facebook of a lithograph that someone made of the Christmas Story. I was looking for a Christmas present. I want this. Well, Mom saw that, reached out to the guy. It was limited print. I'd have to go check. I think I got like 111 out of like 200. But it's a nice framed, and then I took it to my frame lady and had it framed. And so every holiday, we take the big clock off the wall, and I put up the lithograph of the Christmas Story, and then New Year's comes around. So now I have the big ass 3 foot by 3 foot diameter clock, the barn painting, bass amp, a piano. Everything is like the walls are just crushing in. Now that Dave's not here, I don't have a physical secondary host in the room. His whole desk is just covered.
Can be replaced by a clock.
No, this whole side. There's no Nugget has his chair in her room to play Xbox. There's 3 laptops, anyhow. Once COVID's finally gone, if it ever does leave, I hope to get a second co-host in here so we can get kind of back to a 3-person, 3-personality show. That was our goal all along, but who knew that this shit would last almost a year? But yeah, it's just effing crazy. What do you want to fact check? Do we need like a disclaimer?
The Daily Beast. Fuck them.
Okay, good enough.
So they have come. They've come out and basically said this gun coffee brand was MAGA royalty, and then it turned on Kyle Rittenhouse. Well, they're talking about my favorite coffee company.
The TikTok I sent you earlier. Did you see that?
I did not see that, but let's go ahead and go into this. So they talk about how the pro-military, pro-gun coffee company declined to sponsor a teen accused of murder when hell broke loose, and that all the Trump guys are against them now. But what they're not telling you is if you ever listen to Free and Range American podcast, and I suggest our listeners take a listen, they fucking hate both sides. They're libertarian. They're really not into politics. They basically feel that, especially Evan Hafer, he's the CEO of Black Rifle, he feels that the government is pretty much inept and incompetent.
That's interesting.
Which, a guy who's been in the military that long and has even done special forces, he's probably got to get some pretty good insight. But yeah, so they basically, during the podcast, I guess one of the guys put a picture up of Kyle in a Black Rifle shirt and said, hey, he drinks the best coffee in America. But then they turn around, Black Rifle comes out and says, hey, we do not sponsor, nor do we have a relationship with the 70-year-old facing charges in Kenosha.
Which makes perfect sense.
I understand that. It's perfect sense. But now this company, this DB, fucking Daily Beast, douchebags, they're just basically attacking them, saying the far right, they're losing their far right wingers, they're extremists, but they're not an extremist company. Again, if people listen and actually listen to these people talk, they would understand that. And, he said, look, I'm not in the business of profiting from a tragedy.
Yeah.
Fucking perfectly sane argument. We're not in the business of profiting from this event. We have zero interest in collecting $1 from any of this. It is ethically inappropriate for us to do so, and even if he gets, even if it gets the perception of us profiting. So this Daily Beast is going after him, this writer, and they're saying, oh well, now on Parler because it is a bit of an echo chamber over there.
Well, first and foremost, I can't get a Parler. I can't get a Parler post to post. That shit's broken. But go ahead.
Yeah, and they're just basically attacking them, calling them the deep state, calling them snowflake coffee, et cetera, and it's again. So the Daily Beast is focusing on the whack jobs on the right, which I'm now thinking the Daily Beast is part of the whack jobs on the left.
Well, they always have been.
Yeah, they always have been, and then they're talking about now there's a third right-wing coffee brand coming out, which I still don't think PRCC is truly right-wing.
Well, they're not, and I can prove that.
Advocating throwing communists to the death from a helicopter. Okay, you know what? I don't see a problem with that. Fucking communists. But And Patch is mocking the corpse of a man Rittenhouse killed. Now, I'm not going to be into that brand. I think you're a little too far out there. But the boys over at Black Rifle, man, they're about as sane as they get.
Well, I wasn't aware of any of this when I sent you this tweet, but I can prove to you what you just said about them not being a right-wing coffee company. And this is also why some of the right-wingers are turning their back against them. Here is what the TikTok actually sent you earlier today. Let me make sure Google Chrome is unmuted. Bear with me. This is audio coming directly off of a TikTok, so let me just do this.
Rifle Coffee Company.
I'm going to hit refresh so it starts at the beginning. Here we go.
This is Evan Hafer. He owns Black Rifle Coffee Company. Guns, 2A, manly coffee. You know how those Democrats were talking about the registry for Trump voters? Well, the FEC is basically that registry. If you donate, you're there. Somebody else posted this on TikTok, so I had to go do my own research. If you go to the FEC website and just put in Black Rifle under employer, scroll down, you'll see Evan's name. And if you click on it, you're going to find something real interesting. He donated to Act Blue. He donated to the Democrat Party.
So
And you can donate to who you want.
So in 2019, he actually donated $500 to the Democratic Party. So that goes, which is why those white people are pissed. Well, how can Black Rifle donate to the Democratic Party if they're pro 2A? But what you're just saying, what you just said prior to even hearing this is they never said they were a right-leaning group. So there you go. Both sides. You got
But they are pro 2A. They are pro Constitution.
But what my point being is you got what you're saying, people saying, well, they're extreme right wing. Here's evidence that in 2019 he donated $500 to the Democratic Party. So he's essentially neither. I mean, he's not what either side's charging him with. You got the hard right.
And who knows? He may have donated to both sides.
Yeah, you got the hard right now trying to prove evidence that he's a hard leftist, and then you got the left wing media outlets trying to say he's a hard right wing. So that just goes to show that you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So, yeah, it sucks that they're getting attacked, but on that note, it looks like Trump has already given the go-ahead for GES to start the transition team over to Biden.
Well, it's about time.
So that is where we are. That little story. It was getting a little out of hand on both sides, but just hope to God that the runoff elections in Georgia are fruitful for those of us who believe in the Constitution. Although, there's people who think it's an evil.
Well, it's a living, breathing document, But hey, is there a particular sound that reminds you of school? Like whenever you hear it, you just have flashbacks to school?
Just the bell.
I was going to say, don't go with the generic bell. Anything else? Nothing?
The sounds of a desk scooting across the linoleum.
You know what sound it is for me? And I always forget about it until I hear it. It's the sound of the clasp on the flagpole rope banging against the flagpole.
That's a good one, too.
That ping noise. It don't matter if I'm walking out in front of the mall, in front of a police department, anywhere there's one of those 40-foot cast iron, or no, they'd be aluminum flagpoles where that little metal clasp bangs off of it. That sound, that is like the epitome of school for me. I have flashbacks to being in the courtyard at Grove City High School or being out in front of Hamilton South Elementary. Just that sound always brings me right back.
Yeah, and you know what? I am actually with you on that. That is, I don't know why I didn't think about that up front, but you are 100% correct. Especially when I was like in ROTC and that, and would go out and do stuff around the flagpole and that. So, yeah, the flagpole smacking against
Yeah, it's just that the
rope and that smacking against the pole in the wind. 100%.
Yeah, that ping noise does it every time. We kind of talked about last week, or the week before, how I haven't been drinking beer on the show. And part of that goes with, as my friend Morgan Moose Wright from American Ninja Warrior says, I save all my liquid calories for bourbon. And you were kind of talking about that too. By the way, how many pounds are you down right now?
I am down pert near 20.
Pert near?
Pert near.
What exactly is pert? What unit of measurement is pert?
That is actually, the unit of measurement is pretty near.
Pretty near. Pert near.
Pert near.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's pretty near 20 pounds. It's 19 and some change. I'm expecting this week with the holiday, because as Vinny says...
it doesn't matter what you eat between Thanksgiving and Christmas. It only matters what you eat between Christmas and Thanksgiving. Is that where you're getting
or something along those lines. Yeah, now I'm not going to go crazy. We did something. We cooked a pork loin out on the Traeger last week, and it turned out so juicy in that Katina told her mom, and now Wednesday night her mom will be over here for 4 hours cooking a huge pork loin on the grill. Then I'm going to get up 5 a.m. in the morning and take the turkey out there and hit it with some hickory. So not going to do anything crazy with it, because it's basically, the way I'm using it is going to be as a wood-fired convection oven. Because the smoke can put people off.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't down for the smoke cause.
But this will have just like, it's kissed with a little hickory. That's it.
We haven't tried this in a while, but we got a few people on live stream and on YouTube. If you want to give us a call, want to talk to us, give us a call at 239-932-8676. Or that is in fact the number down at the bottom of the screen. That is not the number for Act Computers. That is the number for the studio here. You can also text us at that number. We want to hear from you. What are you drinking tonight in the bourbon realm?
I am still working on my Elijah
Schlesinger?
No.
Maybe we should bring a segment to show where we class things up with
Elijah Craig bourbon.
Have you ever heard of Larceny?
Yeah, but it's never anything good comes out of it.
Well, how about Larceny 1870 small batch 92 proof?
Well, that's funny that you say that. This is Elijah Craig, and it's made in this late 1700s, and it's like 92 to 95 proof also.
Are you looking at the screen at all?
Nope. Yeah, 94 proof. Let me look at your screen here. Oh, there you go.
This is Kentucky straight bourbon, but this is actually wheat bourbon.
Wheat?
This is a wheated bourbon.
Mine's not wheat.
Mine was... I'm usually drinking the Maker's Mark, but I want to try something different. And so I was looking at this. John F. Fitzgerald's weakness was fine bourbon. As the Treasury agent, who at the time was the only person legally allowed to carry keys to the rick house, he gave into temptations, freely taken from the best barrels in each rick house. I guess that's where they stored confiscated barrels of bourbon. Those contained wheated bourbon. That's kind of redundant. Wheated bourbon. So this is called wheated bourbon. Made with wheat instead of the traditional rye. These eventually became known as the distillery as the Fitzgerald barrels. Now, Larceny Bourbon honors both the superb taste of the lawless Treasury agent and the legacy of old Fitzgerald brand. I gotta say, this is my first time knowingly drinking a wheated bourbon, and it's pretty damn good. So,
well, they're saying that Elijah Craig is the father of bourbon.
Oh.
That's a pretty bold claim, and it goes back to 1789, I believe. And it's a Kentucky straight bourbon, and it's also small batch. It's good. I mean, it's $20 a bottle at where did I get it? Sam's.
There you go.
But so real quick, I had a comment. Where did I hear that? I'm guessing that it was talking about the Trump transition, and my reply was, it's all over the news. There's several sources on that. I think it was New York Times is what I read that one off of. So that's that. Yeah, he basically is not fighting it anymore.
Yeah, Amanda on the Facebook live stream says she has lockers at work. That always takes her back to school.
That's
Morgan Long says he has a flagpole in his front yard, and it takes him back as well.
And it is that you mentioned that. Actually, the school I remember for some reason hearing the flagpole the most is Ackerman Elementary in Florence, Kentucky.
That makes sense.
Because they're always going out to the bus.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's right out by the bus, the Echo Party.
Yeah,
I don't know. Morgan, are you saying we're echoing? It says echo pretty bad. Oh. See, this is weird because we're, a good 10 minutes into it, and we didn't have the echo before. I'm starting to wonder if it's something with Restream.io.
It could be.
I'm thinking maybe next week we just go directly to YouTube, which bypass the Restream.io, because we've changed nothing here. and give that a shot. Gordon, you talk for a second. I'm going to mute the mics, and I'm going to unmute the Restream.io if you hear on a laptop. I want to hear how bad it is.
All right, I guess I will be put on the spot right now. So, yeah. The surgery, anybody who's ever had any kind of medical procedure when you're awake, it kind of sucks. Fortunately, I didn't feel anything, but yeah, that was no good. No bueno. We'll not do it again. Hopefully. I do blame it on Katina. Look what you've done. You've given me a scar.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad echo. I don't know. I have no idea what is going on and why it would be echoing. I may have a thought. Keep talking here.
Keep talking here. So
I don't know spot because everybody thinks, it's easy just to talk in the microphone for 15 minutes and anybody can do it. And when you get put on the spot, it's like not you, but I'm saying in general people all the time.
Oh no, I don't know. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I got it. So we need to start banning assault.
Nope, that didn't do it. You start assaulting do what and who?
We got bans assault. I'm sorry, knives of war.
Knives of war. No, I like my bayonets.
Well, you know, at least two dead in a stabbing in Northern California church.
Well, I mean, look at Europe. Happens all the time.
Yeah. So, San Jose, California, 2 people died. Multiple others were injured in a stabbing Sunday night at the Church of California, where homeless people had been brought to the shelter in from the cold weather. So let's just think about this for a second. What we don't have, it's not a gun problem, it's not a knife problem, it's a mental health problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
We would all agree with that. But why? And what's interesting with the mental health problem, if you look at all these mass shootings, I can almost guarantee you 90% plus had been on some kind of SSRI or psychotropic drug.
Yeah, with everybody on everything nowadays, it would not surprise me.
And I can understand why, too, because back in the day, I was on an SSRI in my early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was one of the things I said to you, well, how does it make you feel?
Yeah.
I don't feel anything. I don't really care. Well, if you've got a bunch of people walking around and they just don't care,
mm-hmm.
it's going to make it easier for them to do these horrific acts.
Yeah.
So that's what we really need to get a handle on, is the mental illness. It's mental. It's not a gun problem. It's just mental illness with guns, right?
Mental illness is the road to freedom.
Yes. Yeah. What band was that? Was it Evil Mothers?
No, that was Pigface.
Pigface. That was Pigface. Yes, back in our industrial era of music. So are you switching over to YouTube?
No, I have you muted. I have you muted because I'm working on a sound thing while.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's if you don't hear me talking, I'm working on that. So why don't we just go ahead and start the news, and then we can come back to the topic I had. That way, you can focus on that while I work on the sound, because then I don't have to talk. And let me kick off your new theme song here, which is going to be even more of an insane echo chamber for you guys back there. Hold tight, we are working on it.
Cereal galactic after eating a block of cheese.
Joining us now from the Digital 410 West News Desk in Las Vegas, Nevada, Gordon Abernathy.
Hey guys, so check this out. We know that states are locking back down. Unfortunately, Vegas or Nevada has got the pause where they're reducing capacity of dine-in restaurants.
You're not going to believe what was causing the echo.
What was that?
Remember back when Dave was on the show?
Yeah.
And we would play around with things like, I don't know, this, where it would do the echo.
You have the loop on.
I had the special effects echo on. For some reason, those levels got turned up, and I had to turn all the special effects levels down on all of them. So for some reason, there was another child that comes in here. I don't know if she was in here turning the knobs, but for some reason, because we haven't used those special effects since he was on the show, almost more than a year ago. But basically,
like a radio show that we know. Are fucking with their shit.
Yeah, this motherboard has a special effects prefix. So, if you're playing in a band and all that, you can. Long story short, you can play with different sound effects and all that, and so those were turned up. So I actually had to turn those down.
Well, Morgan Long said it started when you picked up the bottle. Was there a chance you accidentally smacked it with your bottle?
No, because I picked up the bottle over here. and the mixing board is down here. Two different sides, so who knows?
That is interesting.
But yeah, that's what the problem was. And so now, finish your news, and then we'll go back, because I got some semi-basic. I'm getting into something we're probably going to play some disclaimers on.
Okay, that's fine. So anyway, states are shutting back down, but I tell you what, in Cleveland, Ohio, yes, the mistake on the lake, as it's commonly known back home, a man leaves a $3,000 tip for one beer at a restaurant that's closing again for virus. So a man walked into the Night Town on Sunday in Cleveland. He ordered a beer and asked for the check, which came to $7.02, according to owner Brendan Ring. Ring stated, said the man wished him well and told him to share the tip with the 4 employees who were working the brunch service. The tip. The man walked out. Ring wrote on his Facebook post, and he looked down and realized that the tip was for.
What was that again? The man walked out. What?
Man walked out. He left basically a $3,000 tip.
No, read it from what you read it from what was written.
Ring.
The man walked out. Ring
said the man wished him well and told him to share the tip with the 4 employees who were working the brunch service.
Oh, I thought you said the man walked out. Ring wrote, and I was going to go.
Why does it have to be a tongue twister?
But that was a far walk to get to that joke. So
now here it is. As the man walked out, Ring wrote.
Why does it have to be a tongue twister?
He looked down in the tip and realized he left a whopping $3,000. So he chased this guy down. Said, no, this is right. I will be back when you reopen. So kudos to the gentleman who has the kind of funds to be able to do that.
It never occurred to me with COVID until I was driving by our Golden Corral at like 8 o'clock and it was pitch black. And I got to thinking, out of all the restaurants that's affected the worst by COVID, and you know this because we're all over, not Golden Corrals, but you know this because Vegas is the home of the buffet. The buffets had to get a swift kick on the dick with that. I mean, how do you social distance and all you eat buffet? I mean, I couldn't even get a continental breakfast at the Microtel for my Savage race because of COVID. How do they handle the buffets?
They're all pretty much closed, or I think the Wynn had changed to a different order off the menu. It's a buffet, but then the servers go and get the stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how well that's worked out, but because of the new lockdowns, almost all MGM properties are now closed midweek, except for the hotels are. And that's kind of going across the valley. Encore did that, which is part of the Wynn for a while. Venetian has done that too. This is no good, especially when you reduce the capacity of restaurants back down to 25%. That's just not enough to make, to survive. And according to illustrious Governor Steve, it is. Oh, these should be able to survive on 25%. Dude, how the fuck would you know? You don't know. Restaurants, most of them fail within 5 years at full capacity. So, that's clearly a guy who doesn't know. I get he's walking a tightrope between managing this virus, this pandemic and the economy. But my thought is these days, you can't run, we can't hide. It is here. We've got to deal with it, face it head on, and not hide in our homes,
Yeah, speaking of fixing it head on, the echo is back, and it's not the mixing board. So continuing the next story while I continue to look into this.
All right, so here comes some more echoey news. Tyson, the brand who makes all our chicken, suspends manager, not at a chicken plant, but at a pork plant, who places bets on how many workers would get COVID-19.
What the?
Oh, come on, man. These guys have pools everywhere. If you've worked anywhere around managers, everybody's got a bet on something. As state officials and lawmakers urge the shutdown of Tyson Foods' pork processing plant in Iowa, for example, managers at the plant reportedly placed a bet on how many would end up getting sick. And this comes in from the AP, by the way. This is one of many new allegations leveled against Tyson Foods in an amended lawsuit filed Wednesday, a week or two ago. The corporation kept its Waterloo, Iowa plant open even as local officials urged its shutdown early in the pandemic. As a result, about 1,000 employees contracted the COVID-19, 5 of whom died. That includes Isidore Fernandez, whose family filed a suit against the meat empire. And as you notice in this is going to be back to talking about how the media writes thing. They said meat empire, thus in basically saying they're evil this year. Tyson Foods has since suspended the individual reportedly involved per a statement issued Tuesday afternoon by the company. We expect every team member at Tyson Foods to operate with the utmost integrity and care for everything we do. I mean, it's...
Come on, can we not have a little workplace fun anymore?
Oh, shit.
I mean,
right?
I was just watching an episode of The Office from like 4 years ago where they were betting on everything. And Pam here says, I don't know how the betting thing started, but it's kind of fun. They were betting on whether Creed would notice they replaced his apple with a potato pre-eating it. So he picked up and bit into a potato. They made a bet on how long how long it would take her to explain how Netflix works to her boyfriend. And I think the over-under was 2 minutes and 48 seconds, and Pam won an extra $20 because she said like 30 times. And so it's not like this guy was spreading COVID or trying to convince people not to follow their cleanliness protocols. He's just kind of having fun in what I would assume to be a mundane, repetitive job.
Exactly. And, as supervisors were aware of the virus avoiding plant floor, so they kind of stayed away, they denied the existence of confirmed cases at the plant to workers. So they didn't tell the workers if they had any confirmed cases floating around. One manager, Mr. John Casey, directed supervisors to ignore symptoms of COVID-19 and continue to work, and allegedly urged supervisors to direct their staff to do the same. Casey also reportedly likened coronavirus to a glorified flu. So, I remember when food was flying off the shelves.
Oh, yeah, it's the ass wipe is going again.
You all finally catching up with the rest of us?
Yeah, the ass wipe is getting thin. We still have some, but it's getting down to 4 or 5 packs on the shelf. But I seriously think the grocery stores have learned their lesson. I think they have plenty in the warehouse. I think they have a quota for how many packs they get to put on a shelf per day to maintain their stock. And speaking of which, you and I both worked in retail and fast food. I was at Lowe's the other day, and they were out of bags. And they had no bags whatsoever, to which, me being the smartass I am, as I was going through the self-checkout and in my bags, I looked at the lady who, the one chick who gets paid hourly to overlook. She's like the purveyor of all the self-checkout lines, so that when, please, there's an unsuspected bag item in the bagging area, and you got to call her over to clear out. I asked her, I said, which one of your managers screwed up on the inventory? And she's like, huh? I was like, you don't run out of bags because you got to run on bags. You run out of bags because the inventory manager failed to count the amount of bags you guys had in back stock and figure out what your daily use is appropriately. I worked in a restaurant where we ran out of French fries a few times because we had a bad manager who didn't inventory properly. And so it's always something.
I've actually been tempted back in the days when I went to fast food restaurants to say, hey, can you get your manager over here who's responsible for the inventory?
Mm-hmm.
They're off today.
Yeah, right.
One of the things I used to like to get was the chili from Wendy's. Yes, we all know where it comes from. Mm-hmm. It's not that bad, dude. But they would run out of chili sauce seasoning.
Yeah.
The hot sauce. I'm like, how the fuck do you run out? And it was like for a month straight.
That's insane.
Run all of a sudden,
Well, I did a TikTok the other day. I went to the relatively new 7-Eleven by my neighborhood, and the car wash was broken again. And I said, name me a piece of industrial equipment with this price point that breaks down as much as a gas station car wash. What is it about gas station car washes that they're always broken? To which somebody happily replied, well, the milkshake machines at McDonald's. No, the milkshake machines at McDonald's break down more than car washes. But I don't think the price point is exactly the same. But what is it? If you're a gas station car wash attendant or mechanic, your job is, what is the most part that wears out the most that prevents those damn things from working? Because it's like every other time you go there, they're out of service. I bet you it's a sensor. It's either a sensor or there is a maintenance that the franchisees are required to do on them that aren't getting done. There's something, I bet, that's causing those damn things to break down.
Or they have, like, on the brushes, there's some rock or something embedded, and it's fucked up a few cars, so they decided to shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as we know, those things beat the crap out of your car. And then you got to use the touchless car washes, and they're about worthless, you know. And out here, because, you know, we've got, like, the hardest water in the world, since it flows all the way down from Colorado. When you wash your car, you have to wipe it down and dry it off as fast as possible, or you will have
water
a car spots. And they're bad here. So I will do that, even though you've got the nice 6-8 blowers on it. A lot of our car washes here have the free industrial vacuum cleaner. They got they'll suck the upholstery right out of your car. So I'll pull around, I'll wrap the car real quick and getting the water off. But if you don't, you might as well not even have washed it.
For those who didn't listen to the podcast last week, we premiered a new segment, and we're going to follow it up with episode 2 right now.
And now for the What's in Your Head podcast TikTok lesson of the week.
If you took all of your organs out of your body and lined them up in a row, you would be dead.
And this has been the What's in Your Head podcast TikTok lesson of the week.
I know the beginning on that was a little low. You want to replay that? Did you get the first part of the joke?
Take all your organs out of your body and line them up.
You'd be dead.
You'll be dead. Absolutely.
And this has been the What's in Your Head podcast TikTok lesson of the week.
Are you done with your news, or you want to keep going?
I got one more story.
Sure.
Although that song reminds me of something that Ed would sing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Las Vegas Golden Knights
breaking news.
Well, it's not that breaking. Anyway, the last is rapper Lil Wayne, who likes to flaunt the old Vegas Golden Knights jersey, and is occasionally on there, unfortunately, was charged with federal gun offenses in what great state?
Vegas, Florida.
Florida, you got it. In the wonderful burg of St. Pete.
Yeah, it's right up the road.
Rapper Lil Wayne was charged Tuesday in Florida with possession of a firearm. Why?
Because he's a registered felon?
Yes, he is a convicted felon, which is a federal offense.
Well, at least he lives up to his claim. You know, Tom McDonald claims that there's a lot of these hip-hop artists who aren't, you know, the criminals and gangbangers they claim to be, that they're all just studio rappers. So at least this one, you know, his street cred's a little true, that he is a felon.
Yep. And it can land him back in prison for up to 10 years.
Yep.
Documents filed in the Miami federal court says the rapper, whose real name is Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., had a gun and ammunition on December the 23rd of last year. This is how far behind things are. Despite knowing that he had previous felony on his records. All right, let's just stop that sentence right there. I know this is more of an opinion. He's a felon. He already knows. He really don't care. He's got
fuck me money. He don't care.
Yep. Authority says the 38-year-old rapper acknowledged owning the gold-plated handgun.
Nice, that's classy.
After his luggage was searched. I wonder if he got it from Demo.
No, he's not been a Desert Eagle, and I don't think Demo would have given up his gold-plated Desert Eagle. I bet which hip-hop artist is this?
Oh, so it's probably a High Point.
It's probably a Glock.
Or a High Point. Anyway. Yeah, you should probably hit that thing. The search warrant first reported in Miami at the time. Carter.
Why does it have to be a tongue twister?
Investigated. The gun was a Father's Day gift. So, needless to say, Lil Wayne, who was in prison for 8 months before, because of an illegal drug bust, can't legally have a firearm on him, has been busted. And that is all I have for the news today.
This concludes the evening news, and now back to the ACT Computer Studio in Cape Coral, Florida.
Thank you, Gordon. This episode of the What's in Your Head podcast is brought to you by our friends at ACT Computers. ACT Computers has been providing IT solutions for all of Southwest Florida since 2004. Whether you need IT solutions as far as web hosting or web actually web hosting consulting, online backups, 2-form authentication, antivirus, network expansion, computer break fix, server implementation, laptop repair, tablet repair. Give them a call, 239-283-1120. And that's right, even if you live out of the area, they can still help you with remote login. So if you have a problem with your computer, whether it's printer, sound not working, anything else in the world, as long as your internet works, they can help you. Give them a call, 239-283-1120. And now that is out of the way and my bourbon's kicking in, let's get into this fun topic.
Hi, my name is Tom McDonald. Welcome to the show. If you are easily offended, then you probably should go.
We can all agree that it's safe to say that we here in modern times have a short attention span when it comes to news and things of the past, right?
Oh, look, a butterfly.
Exactly. Something shiny, something over there. I had a thought, and my thought takes me back to 2018, 2017, and even further back than that. But before I get to my thought, I wanted to present you with some evidence on this dark hole we're about to go down. And so...
You sending us down a rabbit hole, are you?
Well, so it could be a little conspiratorializing, which I'm not big into conspiracy theories, but I had a thought that I haven't heard anybody else mention. And so first and foremost, if the background music's not too loud, let me take...
Baby, give me my aluminum hat! All right,
yeah, get your tinfoil ready. Turn off the prison planet.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go down this hole real quick. I'm going to take you guys back. We're going to hop in the old DeLorean here. We're going to go back in time. We're going to go back to November 20th, 2018.
That's a pretty lame time jump. But
To Reflector.com. The shameful truth about Thanksgiving. I remember hearing a story of the first Thanksgiving when I was in second grade. And I'm sure we all had a similar experience at the holiday for one form or another. Some years we cut out pilgrim hats and feathered headbands from construction paper and pandered around the classroom as in gymnasium. Others, we traced our hands and turned them into little turkeys. I left the second grade knowing the story of the pilgrims and the Indians and how they were kind to each other and things couldn't be better.
Were they singing Kumbaya?
Yes, for the longest time I thought the story was that there was no more. It made sense to me that we're celebrating during Thanksgiving family, friendship, and gratitude. Those are certainly worth celebrating and should be, but I've come to learn that there's no such more thing as Thanksgiving harvest between two different cultures. By not correcting the inaccuracies about Thanksgiving or telling you the full story, that we're ignoring a critical part of our history.
Are you saying Thanksgiving's getting virtue signaled?
Well, this is back in 2018.
Which I did actually read earlier today.
This was back in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to read the whole story. I just want to give you that one headline. Okay. And then we're going to jump over to the Time magazine's webpage in 2017, titled Thanksgiving Tales We Told is a Harmful Lie. As a Native American, I found a better way to celebrate the holiday. And this one I can agree with because, this is coming from the viewpoint of a Native American. And, it opens up every November. I get asked the unfortunate, loaded question, you're a Native American? What are you eating on Thanksgiving? My answer spans my entire lifetime. I was born and raised on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota in the 1970s. A member of the Sioux tribe growing up. I went to a very small country school, learned about Thanksgiving, yada, yada, yada. I can understand his look into that. Okay? And just go onto Google and just Google Thanksgiving, just type in 2017, 2016, pick your year really in the last 10, 15 years of, Thanksgiving and why it's a negative holiday. And you will find many of stories, articles, and this, that, and everything, more often than not from more extreme left-wing sources. There's one on Public National Radio, which is an audio clip I was going to play. There's pages of them.
Would this be the same type of group of people who create Friendsgiving?
Mm-hmm. And this would also be the same sort of party that are running certain states right now that are having some of the strictest policies on Thanksgiving gathering. And I'm just wondering if there's a correlation between the party who has been supporting groups, I'm not going to say preaching, but there's been, especially when it comes to the media and the web pages and some of these politicians, they have, we heard California no longer practices Columbus Day, right? It's now Indigenous Peoples Day.
Mm-hmm.
And so Thanksgiving, now we're hearing, going all the way back to 2016, even further, that there is a larger group of people out there who, think it's just, revisionist history, what truly, and it could very well possibly be, but it doesn't change the fact we've been practicing it and, celebrating it in our culture in the United States for many, many, many a year. And it's...
So what's their point?
Well, my point is...
They trying to... No, I know your point, but what's the point of trying... Yeah, it may not be exactly right, but guess what? What is that we celebrate today is exactly reflective upon the times.
Well, their point is
the purpose of it.
Their point is that Thanksgiving is the starting line in time of Americans, white man coming here and killing off indigenous people, basically. That's what they're getting to, and that's why we shouldn't celebrate it, just like why we shouldn't celebrate Christopher Columbus Day, right? Yeah. And it just struck kind of curious to me that you're hearing certain states have more restrictive Thanksgiving policies than other states.
Only 2 households are allowed to get together here. Yeah, tell the Greeks that. Ain't gonna fly.
Now, we could also, here's another fun game, too, while we're in this little dark hole. Go ahead and Google from 2008, 10, 12, about every year it got worse. More and more groups are demanding that state-owned and federal-owned and city-owned properties remove nativity scenes from their properties. And how Christianity has been taken out of Christmas, and how I think 2 podcasts ago we were talking about how my daughter had no idea the reason we celebrate Christmas is because of Jesus' birthday, because they don't teach it in school. Basically, what she learned is Christmas is celebrated because it's a time to get together and celebrate family and gift giving.
Well, actually, in this, the nativity scene thing's actually kind of gone back to the 90s.
Well, even more, even better still. Thus proving my point. Now, fun game. Go ahead and, when you're sitting on the toilet tonight, Google talks of canceling Christmas due to COVID already, So it's just curious to me that...
Oh, that's a joke you should pull on the butter.
That we're 3...
cancels.
Some people are saying we're 3 weeks out from the starting of the distribution of these new COVID vaccines. Once the CDC signs off on them, 3 to 4 weeks.
Which, interestingly enough, the incoming administration doesn't want to happen until after they're in office, which we all know why.
Yeah, because they don't want...
man bad, Biden did it all.
Yeah, but once again, isn't it a little early to start talking about the canceling of Christmas, or does that also go hand in hand with certain political groups who, not even the political group, the ideology of the people who follow a certain political group have been trying to beat that holiday down to the ground for the last 20 years? I mean, I'm sure we can get any Christian who, I don't think hardcore Christians listen to this podcast, but I'm sure we can get a Christian or two on openly devout Christian in 2020 and the sort of crap they get through on a daily basis.
Let me put my man bun on for a second. It is never too early if it saves one life.
Yeah. I think I earned it this
week. What about people who died of suicide because of the shutdown?
Hurt someone's feelings. Yet he didn't want to do it. Yes, troublesome people are often people in trouble. They may be mentally ill. Find out how you can help. Write Better Mental Health, Box 3000, New York 1, New York.
And I could be completely way off base. I just...
how they are going to fucking win. Let's make anybody with conservative ideology and also who back the Constitution appear to be lunatics, insane, and off their rockers. That is exactly what they've been doing, and it will be pushed even harder in the coming years. So strap in, America.
Well, look at this. Apparently there's some billboard in town, and people are seeing the face of you know who.
No, I don't know who.
Oh, I'm not allowed to say Meatwad because of standards and practices.
Standards and practices? What are standards and practices?
Well, that's an interesting question, Meatwad. Here, let's take a look at this video.
Standards and practices are a vital link in keeping good and funny ideas away from you, the television viewer. Watch how this nun reacts when we blow her brains out.
No, permission not granted.
Oh no, somebody's going to get an email. What's a better, more acceptable solution? That's right, a happy and colorful rainbow. Although not nearly as funny, it's guaranteed not to offend the black people.
No, unacceptable.
Ooh, did I say black? I meant to say minorities.
Acceptable.
Looks like someone's about to get an A. By following the rules, you're guaranteed to make a mediocre product that no one can relate to.
So you see, Meatwad, That's why I can't say the J word.
Oh,
That's okay, Meatwad. No one else will either.
Interestingly enough, I hit that button on accident. I meant to kick off another bit I wanted to start today, but it actually just followed up what we're talking about, which, by the way, that was from Aqua Teen Hunger Force in the early 2000s. I guarantee you that episode won't be played anytime soon on the air.
No, because you can totally show people eviscerated on primetime television, but then, you talk about what we're talking about and it's bad.
You recognize that sound?
Yes, I heard it earlier. That is...
What you watching on Netflix?
Oh, Netflix. I should know better. Joel McHale kind of ruined that whole thing for us.
What you watching on Netflix?
What am I watching on Netflix? We started watching Black Sails.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, that would be on Amazon Prime.
Did you notice, by the way, that Netflix snuck the thumbs down back in?
Yes, I did about a month ago.
Remember, they got rid of the
thumbs down.
No, it was thumbs up. They got rid of the thumbs down because Amy Schumer, when her comedy special came out like a year ago, it tanked, and she was saying that for political reasons, people who didn't even watch the video were just giving a thumbs down. And so Netflix got rid of the thumbs down. No, for a long time, it was just a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, you didn't vote. If you liked it, they would do thumbs up, and they would find...
That sounds oddly familiar.
Yeah, so they brought the thumbs down back. I just noticed it the other day. So Black Sails, you said, is on Amazon Prime. What's that?
It is actually, I think, off of Stars, and it's basically a pirate deal from back in the day. However, speaking of Amazon Prime, if you have not seen this show that's been out for a couple of years, Mad Dogs, watch it. Especially if you're in your 40s. It's basically a group of guys starring Steve Zahn.
Where's he been? Like early 2000 was like his. That was his like high point, and then he died off. I wonder what the last Steve Zahn movie was. Did you ever see Firecracker?
No, but this was he did very, very good in this. And basically, this group of friends go down to Belize. There's a buddy that they grew up in their ring of friends. Kind of think of our friends back at base. And Steve Chase, who moved to Belize 3 years prior, and he was wealthy as hell. And then, well, they find out eventually why, but all hell breaks loose. And it is very, very well written. So again, that will be my suggestion of the week.
So that's your
Mad Dogs.
That's your streaming suggestion of the week, and once again, that's on Amazon Prime, but it's deep. I will say this: Amazon Prime's menu board is garbage.
Yes, it is.
I don't know
Not
if
as bad as Hulu though.
I don't know if I would imagine so. I bet you if so, do we have a patent lawyer who listens to this show? I guarantee you that the menu boards that we know of, the Netflix menu boards, the YouTube menu, I bet those are copywritten. I bet they're patented, the layout and the use of them. Because otherwise, why would you have such a hard to use? Because on Amazon, if you just browse Amazon using the up down arrow, you think they have no content. But like you said, you have to dig for it.
Yeah, and it occasionally will pop up. And this popped up in the Amazon Originals. So that's where I latched onto that. 40-something. Oh, that hits my age range. Let's go ahead and dig into this. And that's actually a lot of stuff was just, let's give it a try. And
where do you fall on subtitle shows?
I struggle with them because I find it takes away from my actual viewing experience.
What's more distracting, subtitles, or you can enable the voiceovers where they'll play the English overdub and then the mouth not lining up?
Actually, the English overdub is more distracting.
Yeah, I watch a show which is not well, it's a good show, but it's not one I meant to bring up on this. But Bohemian Berlin.
Okay.
It's right around the time between World War I and World War II. And it's a German show. It takes place in Berlin, as the name implies. But it doesn't really focus on it. It's starting to come up in the subplot, but the main guy's a detective, and he's looking into some weird shit going on around Berlin. But the subplot, you're seeing the start of the Nazi Party. Obviously, Hitler wasn't around in the Nazi Party for a lot longer. He didn't get involved until late 30s. This is still in the 20s area, but you start seeing these young teenagers wearing the brown shirts with the armband and all that. So in the subplot, there's more of these kids getting involved with the Nazi Party, but it's a pretty interesting show. But the one that I want to do, the one that I got this guy, The Queen's Gambit. Have you heard of this one yet?
I have, and I put it in my queue, but haven't gotten any further.
I'm about 6 episodes into it. The Queen's Gambit is a fictional chess prodigy, Beth Harmon, during her quest to become the world's greatest chess player, which sounds boring as shit, but the chess is only like 40% of the plot line. There's a lot going on in her personal life.
Isn't the Queen's Gambit a move?
Yes, it's a move. This is based off a book based off that move. But yes, Beth Harmon, during her quest to become the world's greatest chess player while struggling with emotional problems and a drug and alcohol dependency, The Queen's Gambit is a chess opener. The story begins in the mid-1950s and 1960s, but here's why you'll like it. The story begins in Lexington, Kentucky. There's also a lot of time spent in Cincinnati. So the story begins in Lexington, Kentucky, where the 9-year-old Beth, having lost her mother in a car crash, now I'm not giving anything away. This is directly from Wikipedia. So, orphanage teaches Beth to play. Now, at the time, apparently in the 50s, it was quite common to give orphans and kids tranquilizers, settle their shit out. Well, what she discovers is through advice from an older orphan that if you pocket the tranquilizer when they give it to you at 5 p.m. and you take 1 or 2, maybe 3 o'clock of them at night, you'll start getting visuals. And that's basically where she discovers her propensity for chess. And so this goes through her life.
Tripping balls?
Yeah, so from the age of 8 until she's well in her 20s, and well, what a perfect time to have a drug addiction in the 1960s. But no, it's a damn good show, and it's kind of cool seeing them, going around the Ohio chess tournament leagues in Cincinnati and seeing them like in Lexington and Louisville and all that stuff. It's a cool show, and once again, it's in the 50s and 60s, so it's a nice timepiece. There's a scene where she's walking it, and there's a shot of 1967 Vegas, which I'm sure you'll enjoy. And there's a scene where she's walking into a casino, and it's in HD, but there's a little bit of a haze around her. I think they almost got a hold of some archival footage of like a walkthrough of a casino taken at the time, and they somehow, the negatives were in such good quality that they were able to render it down to 1080p or higher, because it looks like it's shot modern day, but you can see quite a little bit, just a smidge about a haze around it. It makes it look like it might be green screen. But it's done super, and it's like,
I'm sure it was.
But the quality of it is so damn good, and it's a great show. I watched like the first 3 episodes in one night, so that just goes to show. So you don't have to be a chess player. It kind of helps. No, I play chess, but I can't tell you the name of the squares on the board, so don't get all mired down in that. But
yeah, you had the funky.
I still have that
stair step.
I still have this chessboard. Yeah, my stepmom gave it to us when we were kids. It's actually stair step, so it goes down, 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 2 level, then back up. And I had that. Where did
she get it?
A doctor she worked for gave it to her. Interesting thing about that is I had it, and then through high school I let Nick borrow it, who was listening earlier. I think he might still be on here now. And he returned it to me months later, never lost a piece. And then when our friend Frog moved out of his house and had his apartment after high school and had the party house, that was the resident chessboard there for months on end. Got it back, never missing a chess piece. And then when I lived on HILLTOP, the Hilltop, and had the band house, that was the resident chessboard there, never lost a piece. It made its way out to California, made its way to 4, 5, 6 different houses here in Florida, and I teach Nugget on it. I still have every damn piece, and the thing is great. It's like, I can't believe
the stories that thing could tell.
That's the well, it's not rare to have something that you've had since you're in middle school, but it's rare to have something that has multiple pieces that has been in possessions of many different people in many different, not quite up to snuff environments.
I just had an idea.
Okay.
You were wanting to be a screenwriter at one point in time, right?
Oh yeah.
You could do a movie based on the view from the chessboard.
The only problem with that is there was a movie on HBO back in the mid 2000s or late 90s about a $20 bill, and it was, obviously got rolled up, snorted for coke, and the stripper thing. But yeah, somebody already did the life and times of the inanimate object and the surroundings.
It's Hollywood. You're allowed to repeat that kind of shit.
That is true, but that is going to be, if you guys haven't seen it yet, definitely put that in your queue and maybe get to it this weekend while you're doing the Thanksgiving stuff. But yeah, it's called Queen's Gambit. It is on Netflix, and especially if you like it's nice to watch a movie, and you're going to see a lot more of this. I remember somebody said a couple years ago that more and more movies are going to take place 90s and before because there's so many plot lines that are spoiled with the existence of cell phone and internet.
100% agree with that.
And so obviously you can't have a kidnapping movie if everybody and their grandmother has cameras and cell phones. And so there's going to be a lot more movies that take place in 90s and before. Kind of like Marvel took place in the 90s. Yep.
Well, there's been a lot of shows and movies I've watched recently, and I'll watch break-ins and somebody gets something out, I'm like, I know that place has cameras. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it bumps me. It really bumps me. Like, wait a second, how they work this way? Surveillance is everywhere. You can't get away from it, and it's just kind of not talked about.
Or they kind of exist in one of those ambiguous third universes, kind of like Umbrella Academy, where they have all the technology, but everybody has flip cell phones.
Yep.
And so you'll see a lot of those movies too, where you can't does this take place in the 80s? But then they'll have like a MacBook. It's like, no, this is clearly like the show You that you watched, which was kind of like the millennials version of Dexter. Did you notice that where some of the technology was lacking, but then they had like cell phones? I mean, they had like laptops and all that, but like when it was convenient for the plot line, there was no technology around.
Exactly. Did you ever see the series Upload on Amazon?
No.
Watch that. That was put out way before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is it takes place in the future, probably about 20, 30 years from now in New York. And you'll see people riding on the subway wearing face masks very similar to what we wear today.
Well, that's not too uncommon. Obviously, we know the Chinese have been doing it forever, but you say how long? I was watching... I
remember in the 90s when SARS came out.
I was watching a World War II movie. Not movie, but show, and they were showing documentary footage, and it was showing after the war when the army was sent down to China to kick the Japanese army out, and you see people in 1942 footage walking wearing the same exact face mask now, because back then they wore it because their population was so dense that anytime you had a cold, you just wore face masks. And so, I mean, the Chinese have been doing it since probably, I would say, early teens. I've seen archival footage from the 1945, so I can only imagine it didn't just happen in 45, so it's probably going back to the early teens.
Well, and actually what I mean by the exact same face mask is not the paper disposable ones. I'm talking about the fucking cloth ones we're wearing.
Yeah.
You know, in the shape and everything. It's crazy.
Well, if you go back and watch episodes of Mask, it's basically the same. Of MASH, it's basically the same thing. They're loosely based off of medical cloth masks, not the ones that looked like fucking Scorpion's face masks from
That's what I'm talking about.
All those?
They have. Yes.
Yeah.
When I say exactly what you see out there, you know, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah. Nick Talks on here. I was still on the Facebook live stream. He said, yes, that was the best chessboard ever, and I still...
It still is.
Still have it. If you guys want a free What's in Your Head podcast sticker, we said this 2 weeks ago, and we got a few emails, and I have 4 of them made up here. And actually, believe it or not, we got some YouTube traffic, too. If you want a free What's in Your Head podcast sticker, send us an email to info@d-410.com. Just tell us what color you want. If you want it to match your car, like if you got like a red Corvette or something, a red Camaro, and you want a red sticker, or you got a gray, like me, I got a gray gunmetal gray truck, so I made all my stickers gray. If you want a certain color to match your vehicle, and that is our only request, if you will. I don't want to spend the time, energy, and Nugget's time making her cut these things out if you're just going to slap it on like your basement refrigerator or something. I would prefer it, you know, put on your work truck or something, you know, somewhere somebody's going to see it. Spread the word around.
Fun fact, we don't have basements in Nevada, in Las Vegas, at least if you're not wealthy.
No, but people in Ohio have them, Kentucky and Indiana and Tennessee and pretty much anywhere else in the Union. But,
I just had a grunt style thing pop up on my Facebook. Okay.
I'm not going to get into it for protection, but in the last 4 days, I've had 3 family members from 3 different parts of our family on all sides come down who've been tested positive for COVID. So, I don't know. I've always kind of been under the impression that we're all going to get it at some point. And luckily now, and I meant to pull a clip from Dr. Drew talking about it. Obviously, he said the reason the hospitalization rates are going up is now we have treatment for it. We don't have a vaccine, but they have a more streamlined treatment, whereas when we were in the first and second wave, they were telling people to stay away from the hospitals unless you really needed entry. And now they're just telling anybody who calls, yeah, come on down, we'll get you, you know, on the treatment plan. So that's part of the reason why hospitalizations are going up. But an interesting thing he talked about, and maybe we'll play the clip next week, is as morbid as this sounds, every year people die of natural causes, right?
Yes.
It just happens. You know, Nugget was saying the other day she wished we lived in a world where people didn't get old and die. And I said, well, that sounds nice, but not to be that guy. Then you're going to have overpopulation. Well, you're going to have overpopulation. There's not going to be enough physical space to house everybody, let alone grow the food and the animals that we're going to need to consume to eat. But that's neither here nor there. But he was saying that what they have found was the timeline, if you will, of the daily deaths caused from natural, occurrences that happen every year prior to COVID. And actually, the numbers went down.
Yeah, they have an average that they hang their hat on every year. We expect this average of this many people to pass away from these ailments.
And so what they're saying is when the COVID deaths spiked and a lot of these senior citizens were passing away from quote-unquote COVID, the following months, the normal average of deaths caused by natural causes plummeted. Basically, the people who passed away in March, as morbid as it sounds, basically were scheduled to die in June, but they just died 3 months earlier because they got COVID on top of the thing that was going to cause them to pass away from their natural conditions, whether it was cancer, what millions of things, or just being 95 years old. And so it's interesting. And so he was basically saying, and the reason other places the hospitalization is going up is these are smaller communities who didn't have the initial spike when it first happened. And so it's definitely weird what's going on.
It is. Science will science. It'll constantly contradict itself.
Dropping science like Galileo dropped the orange.
Orange.
Yeah, it's a Beastie Boys song. Dropping science like Galileo dropped the orange.
Bouncing around the town like when you're driving a Range Rover.
Yeah, a sad news for me anyhow. Word came out this week that the Right Stuff production is moving across the country to San Diego. So apparently there is going to be a season 2, but they will not be filming in Florida. So any potential follow-up background work for yours truly has now just been taken away. G-O-N-E, gone. Be interesting. Now the thing is people are complaining that the TV series didn't follow exactly to the plot line of the movie with certain characters not being in. Well, I guess the reason being is because the Right Stuff is a generic term they're using for astronauts. And so the next season is not going to be about those. It's basically, until this show gets canceled, they're going to write out through the entire history of the space program. And so
very cool.
And so that's why they didn't have certain people that wasn't really conducive to the timeline that they're talking about in season 1. So I don't know what season 2 is going to entail, but apparently they felt it needed to be shot over in California. So that's where that is going.
That's interesting because it's going to cost some more to shoot there, but hey.
Hey, more power to them.
More power to you.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for another episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. We appreciate each and every one of you. And if you're a member of Patreon, you might want to go check your inbox because I have a very sweet deal for you. Morgan Long, you've already taken advantage of that sweet deal. And actually, you, sir, are the reason I thought it up. And because of you OG5 members over at Patreon have really supported this network over the last year, we want to do something awesome for you for Christmas. So head on over to d-410.com or log in your Patreon app and check your message and reply back promptly so we can get the ball rolling on that. But it's not too late and too few for you new people. If you guys want to support the show and maybe get your little head involved in this little special promo we got going on, head over to d-410.com or what'sinyourhead.com. Click on that big, beautiful orange Patreon link on the right-hand side. Sign up. It's $1 a month for the first plan, $3.50 a month for the second plan, $7.50 a month for the third plan. The $7.50 a month plan, you do get a free shirt after 30 days. So there's a little extra incentive there. Not only do you get access to cool things like that whenever we beta test these stickers or what we're working on now, but you do get access to exclusive content, which Gordon has been slacking on greatly. So we are going to have another episode of the OG5 podcast coming up here shortly. So Morgan Long and the boys, keep your ears out for that. That's the podcast we get a little more in depth in things we don't want everybody in the world to know about, but we trust you, the OG5, to share those things with. And Gordon, you got anything else going on or anything you want to say before we go? Where can people find you, etc.?
I can be found at Instagram at Aegis1974, on Facebook at Gordon at D-410.
Now that's confusing because when people do at. It's the at symbol. So is it at symbol Gordon, the word at?
For which one?
Your Facebook. Your usernames are extremely confusing. Because you say at Gordon at Digital 410. So how does that work? It's the at symbol.
It's Gordon at Digital 410. Or D-410.
But on Facebook, it has to have an at the beginning. So it's at Gordon, and then the word at or the letter at D410.
The ampersand.
So you have 2 ampersands in your name?
Didn't think so. No, I'm confused.
Well, all Facebook accounts are at. So, like, if you're looking for me, you would go Facebook. You would go to Facebook and type at D, or like when you're writing a message, you would say, "Hey, love the show at D Train," or
I have to fix that.
Yeah, so because I like for your Instagram page, I tried. No, actually, the Facebook page, I tried to include you in the promotion for tonight. When I typed in at Gordon at, and nothing came up, so I'm all confused. We'll get Gordon's name straightened out. We'll include him on the social link on d-410.com. I think they may be there now. Same with your Patreon. Your not Patreon. Your Parlor. You said it was Gordon at Analog 410, but then that means it'd be at Gordon at Analog 410.
No, if you just put at Analog 410, you'll find me.
Okay, so don't worry about the Gordon part on Parlor.
Correct. I was noticing that with Parlor, it'll always show your first name at whatever, and people will double up.
Yeah.
So I just kept my Gordon at Analog 410. I thought that would be a little more streamlined.
But it's not. It's just at Analog 410. So your handle on Parlor is at Analog 410. And is that's case sensitive on Parlor? So is that a capital A or is it all lowercase?
It's all lowercase.
Now that we've confused the shit out of the audience, thank you guys so much. And this has been another great episode. And remember, if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you'll never get out of bed. So get up, challenge yourself, and enjoy your life while you still have a life to live. And we will talk to you all next week.
This has been a Digital 410 production.